Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Emerose and I do a lot of stuff. I'm a writer and artist, but today we are focusing on that artist part. I'm showing you my first ever fully completed sketchbook. This is a sketchbook tour of this little guy right here. It's all crinkly with those painted pages and there's lots going on inside. So, all right, let's get started. Be prepared, folks, because this is also my first voiceover with my new microphone, so let's see how it goes. This sketchbook here is a mixed media pad by Bee Paper. This here is a sticker of mine from my REDBUBBLE shop. It's a capybara sitting in a little pot. The rest of the design of the cover is a little odd. It doesn't really fit with the sticker, but I still like it. And here is my very first page, my welcome page. That's a little cartoon version of me that I like to draw a lot. And I have a video of this. It was literally my first time using these Posca pens, which I use a lot throughout the whole thing. As you can see, I have the first day I used this marked in here. I'm going to put the last day, and I finished this on December 31st, 2021. I had this goal of finishing the whole thing within 2021, and I just barely made it. My cat Smokey has showed up to make his presence known, as he does in every video he possibly can. It was a little bit of a struggle writing around him, but I made do. Let's get to flipping some pages here. So as you can see on this page, I did some quick little doodles. I was just getting used to using the Posca markers for the first time. There's a thumbnail of the welcome page, and I love this Kiki doodle, as well as this funny teal hat and a silly frog. The following page has a couple more sketches. I did some quick self-portraits here, and it's interesting because I really didn't draw a lot of people in this sketchbook. A lot of objects and colorful items, including these citrus oranges right here. That was in preparation for this spread, which is also part of a video I have earlier on my channel. I'm a big fan of this page. So bright and fun. Now it's a little bit hard to see, but I have some pencil sketches here. Again, lots of really quick thumbnailing. There's a little bit of a Kermit the Frog meme, and this is something I was posting to my Instagram at the time called Make Anything Day. I have a few of these paintings. This one turned out really well. I love the color combination, the little tiger. Now, this is one of my first attempts at a big coordinated spread with a lot of different elements. As you can see, this has kind of a love theme. It was around Valentine's Day of last year. And then the back side of the page has some more thumbnails. I was working on a couple of mushroom characters, and I was a big fan of that trend of the mushroom hat at the time. This one is a silly little design that I posted to my Instagram once again, working with those Posca pens. These pages really don't go together, but at the time I did not really care about that. On the left page we have another Make Anything Day doodle with some poppies. There are going to be a lot of florals in this sketchbook. The right page is inspired by my cat Star, who's very cute and cheerful. Meanwhile, this one on the left is inspired by Smokey, who loves a good blue chair moment. And these doodles were once again the mushroom characters I was working on. They pop up a few times throughout this sketchbook. Now here's where things really get started on some of the themes I was exploring this year and the kinds of subjects, colors. These two capybara drawings were a big hit on my Instagram, and honestly, I understand why. These are two kind of inspirational word art pieces that I worked on. The idea behind them being that there's power in calling yourself a creator. this spread is kind of cursed, but I do like these fan art sketches that I made of some Critical Role characters, although they're really outside my comfort zone, and I never really drew anything like this ever again. The Caduceus is especially adorable with his little mushrooms. Now, this one, I was working on one of those memes. I'll try to insert the image of it, but it ended up with some cursed baby Kermits. Now, this is an interesting spread here. The first page is my planning page for a big punch needle project I did. I'll put the picture right here. As you can see, it has my notes from throughout the project. And then on the other page is a smoky drawing. There's this bee that lives outside on my balcony, and he's a big fan. So that's what this was inspired by, kind of in the style of line work that I was working to develop. I really like this 2-page spread. It's a couple of plant drawings made with Posca pens with some kind of messy words. This one is just me playing around. I got some new colors, a lot of the secondary colors of Posca's, and then this is a quote from the musical Chicago that was stuck in my head at the time. The left page here is looking pretty blank, but this is a sketch for a design that's in my shop, and these are some really quick doodles of Smokey in his chaos positions. I like the leg spiraled one. That's pretty funny. On the left, once again, more designs for my Redbubble store. And then this is the first full painting I did in here. I went kind of overboard, honestly. Normally I wouldn't paint something like this in a sketchbook, but I just got carried away. This is a repaint of a still from The Lord of the Rings. It's Gandalf, this big pointy hat, leading a horse across a field. So naturally, on the other side, I decided to do another Lord of the Rings repaint of a hobbit hole, but with a lot of extra florals around it. I added some brighter colors to kind of put my own spin on it. I love this piece. I have a print of it hanging on my wall, and it's just got a ton of fun texture. I layered some watercolor pencils for a really interesting effect. This, meanwhile, more thumbnails. I think from now on I'm going to thumbnail elsewhere because I don't really like having spreads like this in this kind of nice mixed media pad. They can just happen elsewhere. They can even happen digitally. That's something I've been playing around with a lot more. Like this one is another shop design, and these ones, which you can barely see, were some never fully realized mermaid doodles. Although the next page you'll see, oh no, these ones are normal. I started doing a lot of really loose floral paintings based on bouquets that I found on Pinterest with certain color schemes. I like the metallic sheen on that one. Now this is my cursed mermaid illustration. Oh, it's so funny to look back on. I love this reverse beta fish mermaid. The colors are a lot. I never ended up posting this, but it's pretty funny. On the left, another bouquet, a little bit simpler this time, and some thumbnails that are actually kind of cute. I started blogging them out with colored pencil and marker so that they complemented the other page a little bit more. I like this cool toned bouquet with the blue line art. That was fun. And this is the kind of doodling that I do like having in a sketchbook like this. These are some fun shapes I'm playing around with, fun creatures, a crow and some jellyfish. And of course, another mushroom page. Lots of layering going on here. I believe that's a green acrylic paint. And then of course the Posca markers. Now this spread. This is my cat Star in two different sort of styles. The first one, very color blocky, very cute, and this one is something I definitely want to explore more in the future, using these patterns and textures. It's kind of like a fun pop art thing. This is where I was seeing how the markers layered to create those patterns, and a couple more thumbnails for stickers that I never made, but I still plan to. As these florals progressed, I was really pushing the shapes, trying to see how few details I could include while still conveying flower. These right here are some pencil sketches of a shirt I never made. And on the left, this is probably my least favorite page. I was trying to get into some hand lettering, but this was an attempt that I just jumped into with like no idea what I was doing. Meanwhile, on the other side, this is my first try at a tutorial for painting like water highlights and ripples. This spread is pretty fun. There's some tape, some like washi tape on a couple sketches that I didn't like, but this one I really love. I really don't draw dogs often, so I wanted to practice. This side is some fun doodles / thumbnails of little ghosts, and I did turn some of these into stickers on my Redbubble store. Again, I started playing around with like highlighting sketches in that pop of color, and I really like that. On the left, more clothing designs that I never ended up using, but this page is one of my favorites in the whole sketchbook. It's a grumpy little cat. I just think it's so expressive. The marker blending adds a really interesting texture, and it's so bright and fun. Now again, we have some of the water ripples. I think the one on the left is probably like a risky color palette, but it turned out quite good in my opinion. And the other one is traditional watercolors. It's fine. Now here, I'm using acrylic paint to paint some clouds, and they're really cute. I haven't painted realistic clouds very much, so I wanted to give it a try. And this is another painting of clouds that kind of got out of hand, and it became this whole elaborate spread. I'm a really big fan. I love playing around with the shape of the text bubbles and kind of adding them on top of very realistic elements. That's a cool contrast there. This is a spread of, as you can see, some pomegranates, which is some like fun, funky pops of color. And in this section of the sketchbook, I'm using like a white border made with tape a lot more. That's pretty cool. Just some more mushroom doodles. I believe this was a warm-up, a fun little warm-up I tried doing where you put down the blobs of color first. Now here, I got a set of jelly gouache for my birthday. This was my second ever attempt at using them, and it's a repaint of that opening scene from Breath of the Wild where Link like runs up the hill and Hyrule Castle is in the distance, and there are all kinds of grasses and flowers around. As you might be able to tell, the paint is on here like super thick and gloopy. I did not know what I was doing, so I was definitely using it a bit more like acrylic at the time. But you know, it was a practice piece, and honestly I made it very elaborate for practice. This is more like proper practice, doing some simpler techniques. I remember being kind of bummed out about this spread, but it's cute. The color choices are fun. Now here was a brief experimentation with another character I was thinking of designing. She's meant to be like a little flame, like the flame at the top of a candle. In this one, she's exhausted to the point of growing mushrooms, and in the other one, she is telling a little kitty cat to chill out, to rest. I really like the colors on this second one. If I were to draw her again, this is how I would draw her. Now on this page are two repaints of a little screen cap from Lord of the Rings, one in sort of a spring color palette and the other in a fall color palette, which I made up on my own. This is another Breath of the Wild repaint. It's one of the memories from West Nekluda. And again, I was using the jelly gouache, which has some really interesting color elements to it. So the purple was a choice. I think it turned out really good though. Here on the left is a test run of an illustration that I was going to attempt, but it didn't really turn out, especially with the colors. They just weren't really working for me. But this bubble I drew right here is a really good combination of colors. I'm a big fan of that, and I've been using it a lot lately. Here's another Breath of the Wild memory reprint. Again, the color choices were a real challenge here. As you can see, there's some magenta layered into these palm trees because I thought that would add more depth. A lot of the jelly gouache are kind of in the pastel realm, which is interesting to work with. Here's a doodle of some shapes and colors. And then this page was from when I was trying out a class on Skillshare about hand lettering. It turned out okay. It was a good attempt. Oop, preview. Late in the sketchbook, I started doing some self-portraits, and this spread is really experimental with color. It's actually the palette from that bubble I drew a few pages back, and on top of the Posca pens, I used a colored pencil for some added texture. Big fan of that one. This spread is also one of my favorites. I love the colors. The contrast between the two pages is great, and it's meant to symbolize creating art when time is passing, when sort of you're aware of, dread or darkness behind you. That's what I was thinking about anyway. You can interpret it how you will. Here we have two jelly gouache paintings of two very different types, honestly. This one on the left is based on a picture I took of my cat. Ooh, the sketchbook got real crunchy near the end here. It's my cat looking out the window that's in my art studio at the buildings across the way. And this one, yet another Breath of the Wild repaint. I tried using just a square brush for this one and keeping some of that texture. That's why you can see it in the clouds there. Never painted a horse before, don't know if I ever will again, but it's recognizable. Yeah, it worked out. On the left with these bright orange mushrooms, this is where I was planning a bigger piece that I was working on, and then we have some doodles, including Dot, my mushroom character. A couple of more self-portraits here. The one on the left is based on a photo I took. Actually, most of these portraits are based on references that I take of myself. I'm a big fan of this plant-covered one. I will probably be remaking it soon. And then here is an actual illustration with those two mushroom characters, Dot and Button. They're looking at a tiny frog. And then here's some more thumbnails of some hopefully upcoming sticker designs. I'm actually working on those ones. This spread is fun. We've got some color similarity here. I feel like towards the end I was getting better at it. The left page is a houseplant that I have in my studio called a peperomia, and this is a self-portrait of me and my cat Smoke, who sometimes sits in the crook of my arm like that. Towards the end here, I feel like I was struggling but also kind of hitting my stride with these ink drawings. The funny little frogs on the blobs of color, just like a go-to warm-up piece. And on the right is something I drew based off a library reference, much like this one as well, in preparation for a big illustration that I will be working on soon. And then I drew another houseplant and tried to do some hand lettering, but I kind of messed that up. Don't look too closely. I'm still practicing a lot of that. This spread worked together really well. On the left, this was a lovely meme cat that I had to repaint with this adorable tie collar, and then I put a frame of roses around it. And on the right, this is based on a cat I see a lot on TikTok. I'll put the account in. It's a great account. It's kind of hard to see these pencil sketches today, but the one on the left is my partner with one of our cats just hanging out. And the one on the right is a collection of seashells that I gathered this winter at the beach, kind of framed with these pops of color. Getting toward the end here, some weird page fillers, some drippy mushrooms, and then this loose abstract little cat jumping through the sky that kind of looks like Starry Night. I'm honestly a big fan of these root vegetable sketches that I did really quickly. It was literally the last day of 2021 and I was trying to fill this up and I was like, okay, I'm gonna draw like a turnip or something. And then finally I wanted to make a callback to the very first page. So this is a little cartoon me. There was a lot of like paint and stains on the final page, so it looks a little blotchy, but I still think she's super cute. And then on the final page, this is just where I prepped and tested a lot of paints and markers. It even says test up there. And that's it. It's hard to close because the pages are so thick. So let's open it to a good spread. Hold on, let me choose. Let's go with, how about we pick this one? Okay. I feel like this one's fitting because what's next? Well, last year my goal was really just to see if I could finish a full sketchbook in 1 year, and I did that. I had never done it before, but I did that. So this year I might focus on something a little bit different, a little more like skill building with some of my favorite mediums and getting those oh so satisfying spreads with great composition. But most importantly, I make art primarily for myself and the feeling it gives me, the satisfaction, and I plan to keep doing that. So if you've enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a like down below, and if you'd like to stick around with me, I make videos 3 to 4 times a month about creativity, my writing life, my art life, lots of stuff going on here. I like to have some fun with it, but my upload schedule is a little irregular, so if you really want to keep track of me, hit that notification bell. I'm also on social media, pretty much everywhere as Emrose Errett. If you'd like to buy some of the designs that you saw sketches of in this video, they're all on my Redbubble store. I think that's it. It's been great giving you this full tour of my sketchbook, and until next time, this is Emrose. Thanks so much. Bye!